We've got tips and recipes for healthy living. So for fun and inspiration, come and join us in the raw food world.
Welcome everybody, this is Matt Monarch with the Raw Food World TV show, and we are located here on our land where we have a newly developed teepee behind me to my left here, and we also have Angela's Yurt that we moved over here behind me to my right on top of a cement platform. Also further back you can maybe see some bathrooms back there and the guest house over there. Now we moved all this stuff over here and created the teepee in order to be able to accommodate a few more people during our retreats, and the last retreat was off the hook and these were being utilized, and everybody who was in the teepee loved it, and whoever was in the yurt also loved it. And of course, this is in addition to our other luxury rooms that we have all over our land. If you're interested in attending one of our retreats, the next one is in June 21st, I believe, and that can all be seen at therawfoodworld.com in the categories, and you can actually click Vilcabamba retreat or whatever it says there at the very bottom of the categories. Well, anyhow, today what I wanted to do was talk about water and the type of water I drink. I know lately there's been a lot of craze for the last few years on drinking spring water straight from the earth. And you know, I think this is probably some of the best water in the world, but for me personally, I don't like to drink that. I think it's very beneficial. It has a lot of life force and other nutrients and things that are inside of it that people say it has. But me personally, I like to drink something else. When I reveal to you what I like to drink, a lot of people are going to frown immediately because, you know, a lot of people have heard some bad things about this type of water, which I actually think is false. And me personally, this is just what I believe in. And maybe spring water is the best in the world to drink. I don't know. But from the methodology that I go by and the theories that I've heard, I'm going to share with with you today. And that would actually make spring water possibly not the best thing to drink if you look at it from this standpoint. Now, as crazy as this may sound, what I like to drink is distilled water. And a lot of people immediately right off the bat, they go like, distilled water, are you serious? This is like one of the worst things you can possibly drink. I've heard about this. It's dead water and it just leaches out all of your minerals. Well, I find this absolutely not true. And I have found that drinking distilled water can be one of the most healthiest things that we can do on an ongoing basis. And let me explain why. Firstly, as many people know, I like this author named Dr. Norman Walker. He was almost on a 100% raw food diet, not quite, but almost there. And he lived to be about 99 years old, which is a lot longer than most raw foodists tend to live in the long run. And he actually had a practice where he helped heal people from all sorts of degenerative diseases through natural measures like the Health Food Institute use, through doing things such as green vegetable juicing with carrots and also doing a raw food diet. And he also liked to talk about colon cleansing quite a bit. He wrote a book strictly on drinking distilled water, and there are a couple other books on distilled water that are from a company called Health Research, where they get books that have been kind of lost, like the old school Hilton Hotimas and other ones that just may have a lot of truth in it, that have kind of been buried, and they kind of reprint these things. And there was a couple of distilled water books in there also, along with another book, How to Prolong Your Life, that I'll share with you shortly. Now, firstly, to address the concept of how it leaches inorganic minerals out, the first thing that Norman Walker says is once your body takes in organic absorbable minerals, the body utilizes it. It can't be taken out before this process. And what actually happens is when somebody drinks distilled water, it is completely empty. So what it does is it has a magnetic quality to it. So what happens is when you drink distilled water, it likes to take out waste and junk out of the body. And what it actually does is it helps to take out inorganic minerals. So it will absorb inorganic minerals that are actually harmful to our body, that have been said to cause all sorts of arterial plaque, cataracts in the eyes, and other sorts of degenerations, arthritis and things like that. So what the distilled water does is it kind of like magnetizes the inorganic minerals to the water, and then when it comes outside of the urine, what happens is when people test the urine after taking distilled water, there is minerals in there, but it is of the inorganic kind, which actually causes damage to the human body. Now, there was another book that I read from Health Research. It's called How to Prolong Your Life by DeLacy Evans. And he actually gives all these different study researches on how inorganic minerals can actually be damaging to the human body and causes all sorts of ruckus in the long run, such as things I was talking about before, such as cataracts, arthritis, arterial plaque. All that stuff is supposedly from inorganic sediment entering your body. And he was actually saying he gave a list of all the different types of foods out there on the planet that have, they all have inorganic material, but what was being shown was fruit had the least amount, and then it went to vegetables, and then it went from there on forward. And the studies that he kind of shared with people were numerous. For example, he would give an example where if you were to take a baby who was just born, their bones are pliable. They're like, they could practically bend. It's very unlikely they're going to break a arm or a leg or anything like that. But then as we grow older, our bones become more rigid. And what he's saying, it's from intaking inorganic matter into our body on a continual basis, and our bones start to absorb that. So then, as you get older, like a person who's 40 years old, their bones are not nearly as pliable as when they were younger. And then when you look at the elderly today, they're very rigid and the bones are very easily broken. And this is supposedly from building up a lot of inorganic matter in the human body. Now, there were many other examples in regards to this that I can't really remember offhand, but regardless, they caused all these issues we were talking about before. And this book is actually available on our website. It's called How to Prolong Your Life. You can get it right there by DeLacy Evans. So this brings me back to natural spring water bursting straight out from the earth in natural springs, which sounds very tantalizing and good, and it probably is some of the best water in the world you can possibly drink. And you notice, like, one of the big things that people talk about when they're going to springs and finding spring water, they bring a TDS tester with them, total dissolved solids in liquid, to see how much inorganic matter is in there. And everybody knows the lower that number is, the better the water is. And this is probably the main reason because of that. But when you do spring water, you're getting this straight from the earth, and it is very good and has many incredible properties, but it is impossible, very unlikely, we'll say very unlikely, to get a 0 TDS from spring water that's coming straight from the mountains and stuff like this, that is building, you see what I'm saying here? So it's on the ground, it's inside, and you have inorganic matter in there, and you're going to be drinking that. And unfortunately, like, I believe, whether it's true or not, we don't know, these are just like theories we were talking about, I don't want to be clogging up my system with this type of inorganic matter. I would rather be drinking things like green vegetable juices, which is distilled water in the most pure form, and distilled water, in order to bring things in that has nothing in there. I don't want to clog up my body. We're always trying to get out toxicity. We're always trying to detox. We're always trying to eliminate. So this is, I feel, drinking distilled water is the best way to do this. So not only are you bringing nothing in, but you are also taking things out by with the magnetic properties of the distilled water, and it just brings it out through the urine. And over time, that can possibly and probably bring positive effects. Me personally, I only drink 1 glass of water every single day, and it's first thing in the morning. And it's actually 32 ounces of distilled water, and sometimes I'll add some Quintessential, a couple drops of it in there. I add it to a dropper bottle. Now, the reason I only drink 1 glass of water every day is because I drink many vegetable juices, and the green coconuts out here, they're coconut water. I'm drinking this type of fresh water that is, distilled in its own way. But first thing in the morning, I always make sure to drink distilled water, because it seems like drinking foods that are kind of like vegetable juices or coconut water doesn't do the job of removing out the cleansing diet from the night before from all the cleansing. And I feel like it's good to drink straight water at least once a day anyhow. I just have no desire for it after that because I get plenty of other liquids. So I just drink 32 ounces of water first thing in the morning, and then the rest of the day I drink green vegetable juices that are strained, and I also drink coconut water. Not from the Thai coconuts that are high glycemic, it's more of the lower glycemic one from the green coconuts here in Ecuador. They have them in Florida and many other places around the world. There's another distilled water book that talks about how it's like a cure in some sort of aspects when you fast on distilled water, because it has this same type of quality of taking things out of the human body that we don't want. And that's one of the most key things to healing, is to get the stuff out of the human body that we don't want. For example, when you drink, like, let's say from a company like such as Poland Springs or Arrowhead Water, you can actually choose if you want distilled water versus spring water sent to your home. This is a different type of spring water. This one's been filtrated and processed in such a way. Anyhow, I was at my mom's house and I had a distiller on me. And what I did was I distilled her spring water. And when that was finished, we looked at the bottom. It was a brand new, the distiller was completely clean. There was this film of just inorganic, salty minerals sitting there. And my mom is drinking that every single day. And Norman Walker says our body usually gets rid of every last bit of it, but if for over 30, 40, 50 years, one particle out of every 100 gets stuck or lodged somewhere, it can cause, it could cause issues in the long run. But when we drink distilled water, we're not only not putting anything in there, but also we're removing things on a continual basis. So maybe in the long run, this can actually help us not degrade like most of the elderly do today. One issue about buying distilled water in the stores, there's certain laws out there to where they could call something distilled water, even if it's only like a certain percentage distilled and the rest is not. So, for example, you might buy a gallon of distilled water, but it might not really be 100% distilled water because of labeling laws. So what I did at my mom's house was we got a 5-gallon jug of distilled water from Arrowhead, and I tested that through the distiller, and there was 0 sediment at the bottom of the distiller. So in this case now, we're talking about distilled water that you can, seriously, it's an easy way to get it. You could just order Poland Springs distilled water, they're the same company here, and you just order 5-gallon jugs of it, put it on top of the machine cooler, you get one of those pumps, and you just have your water, and it's very easy to obtain. And if you're concerned about inorganic minerals, you just get a mineral supplement such as like Quintessential like I do, and you could add a couple drops to your water. Now, Dr. Norman Walker and many other raw food advocates actually think the best type of distilled water that you can possibly drink comes from vegetable juice, because what you're doing is you're taking vegetables from the earth and you juice that, and the vegetables actually take inorganic minerals and turn it into an organic type mineral substance to where it's bioavailable. It is the most bioavailable, absorbable, vitamin, mineral-rich liquid we can possibly imagine getting through things such as vegetable juice, and it is clean of all that inorganic sediment. Well, there you have it. This is why I drink distilled water and nothing else. I mean, I'm not going to kill myself if I can't have distilled water when I'm on the road or something, but I'll just buy Arrowhead gallons. Actually, I bring like a 5-gallon jug and fill it up at the gas station. The next best thing is reverse osmosis, which is actually very good, close to distilled water. So I'll drink reverse osmosis a lot when I'm on the road, and at the gas stations, I'll just fill up those 5-gallon jugs as I'm touring, and that works really well for me too. I'll even add some Quintessential there. So I think reverse osmosis is right in line there also. A little, not as good, but almost. Is there anything else I'd like to share on water? Nope, I think that's about it. Maybe we could get a shot from the other side here so you can see the other side of the teepee. So there you have it, everybody. This is Matt Monarch rocking the teepee and the yurt over there. There's an awesome mandala painted on the floor over there with little rocks and things like that and tiles. And this is Matt Monarch once again, and we'll see you next time at the Raw Food World TV show. Whoosh.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again at the Raw Food World.